It is that time of day. We devote a half hour to just answering your coronavirus questions. Welcome to our ongoing virtual town hall. I'm Mary Alice Demler.
And I'm Michael Wooten. A lot coming up today. We tackle the big questions about when and how to potentially reopen the economy.
And we answer stimulus questions, and we have a report on the scams that are out there.
Yeah, and another update today on the unemployment situation here in New York State. I know a lot of you wondering about that. We'll start though with the three things that you need to know right now.
At number one, New York on pause will continue for at least another month. Today, the governor announced the order that keeps many non-essential businesses closed. It has been extended until May 15th.
Number two, a majority of upstate New York CEOs say the primary focus right now needs to be on public health, not the economy. That's the finding from a new poll from Siena College out today. You can read more about that on our website and app.
And number three, a third person in the Niagara County Sheriff's Office has been tested positive for COVID-19. Now, this worker was in the communications division and was exposed during off hours, but continued to work in the dispatch center, according to the acting sheriff.
All right, let's now get into the first question that we have for you today, and this has to do with reopening the economy. President Trump scheduled to speak in about a half hour at 6 o'clock to lay out his guidelines for states on when and how to allow closed businesses to start to open back up, at least in parts of the country. Two things are certain, though. None of this is going to happen overnight. And secondly, at first, things are not going to be like they were before this pandemic.
So here's the question we got. I've seen the UB disease expert on your air a lot. Now, he doesn't have a crystal ball, but what does he think a reopened economy will look like at first? What is life going to look like? Well, we talked with Dr. Thomas Russo of UB, and we did ask him to look into his metaphorical crystal ball.
What do you think is going to be important for people to do as we reopen?
Well, I think mask use is going to figure very prominently in this new way of life that hopefully we'll be experiencing soon. So let me give you a couple of scenarios. Let's hope that restaurants could reopen at some point. I would imagine that all of the restaurant staff would be wearing masks in combination with significant separation of tables. Another scenario would be hair or nail salons. I would imagine not only would all the staff would be wearing masks, but likewise all the customers as well. Obviously, in a restaurant, the customers can't wear a mask. It's a little difficult to eat with a mask on.
Dr. Russo is very big on the masks, as he told us yesterday. And it was interesting, Mary Alice, to hear the governor today saying he's getting a lot of pushback from this new executive order that he announced yesterday, that you have to wear these masks if you're out in public and you can't safely socially distance yourself. But Dr. Russo, as the medical expert, says masks, masks, masks.
Yeah, this is really the time when we have to defer to the experts, and life is going to be different. Some people are just resistant to the idea or the thought, but if you know anyone who's worked in healthcare, you know, when they tell their story about what they've been dealing with, it's really very grave.
Yeah. We'll see how it all plays out. Hey, we want to tackle a question that we have gotten quite a bit since all of this started. We haven't been able to get to it yet. A viewer named Audra emailed us. Is it okay to have your windows open during COVID-19 pandemic? Should we wear masks if they are opened? Our sources here for this answer are the CDC and the World Health Organization.
First, the WHO says the virus is mainly transmitted through droplets generated when an infected person coughs or sneezes or speaks. Now, these droplets are too heavy to hang in the air. They quickly fall on the floor or surfaces.
And so as a result, the CDC says, and you can look at the highlighted part there, instead of closing your windows, you actually want to open them because increasing your ventilation is a good thing inside your home. Experts say the only way that you would have to worry about your windows being open was if someone walked by and sneezed directly into the window and into your home, or at least close by enough that the perfect wind speed and direction would bring the droplets into your home. So bottom line, the experts say, in a case like this, no, you don't have to keep your windows closed out of fear of this.
That's really helpful information because I've seen a lot of people, now I don't know their circumstances, but they're walking down the street, there's no one around. I mean, there are really virtually no one downtown, and they're still wearing the mask. And you really don't need to do that if there aren't other people close by. The virus isn't so airborne that it could possibly attach to you when you're out in open air.
Right. In terms of airborne, it quickly goes to the ground or to a surface. So that's good.
Important to know. Alrighty, let's turn to the stimulus payments, which are beginning to show up in people's bank accounts. Now, Chris sent us a message, and here's part of it. Are widows entitled to a deceased person's stimulus check? I received my portion plus $1,200 for my husband, who passed away in July of 2018. Well, almost impossible to get through to the IRS right now to ask how this should be handled. Well, Chris, we actually heard this same question from a few people over the past few days.
So first of all, we have reached out to the IRS for an exact answer. Nothing so far. USA Today has also reported on this. That newspaper is still waiting on an answer as well. Here's what we know right now is that this has happened with government payments before. What we're talking about this time around is called the CARES Act. That's what's behind this money that people are getting right now. And some experts who are reading the specifics of the law, they say that, you know, if you look at the careful wording, people are not going to have to pay this back even if they got too much money. So it doesn't seem like you have to give this money back. I know it seems like a mistake. Why would people who have passed be getting payments? But if this is based on a 2018 tax return and they were alive in 2018, they may be getting that money.
I think it might be a good idea to hold on to it for a little while, though, until you see something in writing, because, you know, all bets are off right now for business as usual, I think, in our government. So I think to maybe err on the side of caution, hold on to it until you get a definitive answer from them, because I don't think anyone all of a sudden wants to be hit with, you know, a bill from the government saying they want their $1,200 back.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope we get that specific answer from the IRS pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll keep working on it.
They are pretty busy. Unfortunately, criminals are active out there right now trying to scam people as they get these stimulus payments. So we wanted to put this together so you'll know what to do so you don't become a victim.
If the IRS already has your bank information from your previous tax returns, your stimulus payment may already be in your account. But while many wait for the badly needed money, so are scammers.
Scammers are going to follow that and find it as an opportunity to take advantage of people. They're going to do that by making phone calls, by knocking on your door, by doing things through the mail.
The U.S. Justice Department says this pandemic is causing scammers to come out in big numbers.
There's just some scumbags out there that all they want to do is prey on people and use their resources to just steal people's money.
Scammers use the fact that you're waiting on federal checks to gain access to your bank account. Here are 3 things to watch for. Number 1, fake IRS calls.
No one from the federal government, no one from the state government is going to call someone and ask for personal information or banking information. And if you get those phone calls, just hang up.
Number 2, look out for fake stimulus checks in the mail. If you're not set to receive your money via direct deposit, know that legitimate checks are not being sent out yet, and they'll always be rounded out.
If those checks are weird dollar amounts, if they have cents at the end of them, there's probably some sort of number they want you to call to release the rest of that money, the money that you've heard the federal government will be sending potentially. These are all scams.
And third, watch out for scam texts or emails. Scammers will send links in emails asking you to provide information to get your money faster.
There's going to be these scam organizations that are going to reach out. Well, your check was only so big, but it can be this much bigger if you just give us this information. It's going to come in all different manners and means, and we want people to be very aware of this because it's coming.
So there is a national disaster fraud hotline that you can call. The number's on your screen, 1-866-720-5721. You can also email disaster@leo.gov.
Right, and federal investigators ask that you try to collect the following information that you can see there on the screen. Now, what number did the scammers use to call you? Jot that down. What kind of script did the scammer use? So what did they say? And what government agency, if any, did the scammer claim to represent? And then any other details about the call that you can remember. That's going to all be helpful in helping them track down who might be doing these things.
And the feds say they aren't just hands off on this. I mean, they are actively investigating a lot of these organizations that are out there taking advantage of this.
Yeah, that's good
so that's
to know.
Good.
Alrighty, well, millions more Americans signed up for unemployment last week, although the number was down slightly from the week before. Hundreds of thousands of those folks who lost their jobs live here in New York State, where the unemployment system has been overwhelmed and slow, to say the least. You keep asking us when it'll get better. This is the update that we got today from the Secretary to the Governor.
At this point, they have completed 925,000 claims. There's 275,000 claims that are outstanding. Some of those people are from the last week. Some of those people, unfortunately, date back to the middle of March. Most of the people who date back to the middle of March are people who require additional forms for, as you said, people who are self-employed, people who are contractors, and so that process has been taking longer. We're working together to try to figure out the best way possible to expedite this. It's great that the system has worked better for some. If you're one of the people who are still struggling, it doesn't matter at all, and we understand that, and I sympathize with that, and I apologize for that. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to bring the system up to deal with this scale as soon as possible.
Michael, we've heard so much criticism from folks and the frustration obviously being fed by their anxiety. I mean, to be just caught in limbo and not know when, any kind of money is going to come in to pay your bills is really, it's a tough spot for so many folks.
Yeah, luckily these stimulus payments are arriving for some people, so that may help you fill that gap a little bit. But anything we learn about unemployment, we promise we'll pass that along because it's the big question out there.
Absolutely.
So yesterday, we shared how Dr. Anthony Fauci thinks major sports teams may be playing their upcoming seasons in empty stadiums. We'll go to the next video here if we can. Governor Cuomo has not weighed in on that, or he has now, I should say, weighed in on that. He was asked about it on his brother Chris Cuomo's show on CNN last night. And since so many of you have asked us about the future of professional sports, we wanted to share part of the governor's answer. He was asked, what will pro sports look like in the coming months?
On sports, look, I talked to Jeff Wilpon today, the owner of the Mets. Go Queens, go New York. I said, why can't we talk about a baseball season with nobody in the stands? Why can't you play the game with the players? And look, I think it would be good for the country. I think it would be good for people to have something to watch and do to fight cabin fever. And it's something that I'm going to pursue. Apparently, Major League Baseball would have to make a deal with the players, because if you have no one in the stands, then the numbers are going to change, right? The economics are going to change. But if Major League Baseball and the players could come to an agreement on how to adjust the economics for that reality, I think that would be a good thing. We have to start to move to normalcy, and people have to start to see some hope and light.
Going to be an awful lot of debate about that one, Michael. I can't even imagine what's going to go on in boardrooms because people want to be safe, but then again, you need those ticket sales to drive the revenue for that sport.
Yeah, but what if you have nothing? You don't have TV revenue or ticket sales, so TV revenue may be better than nothing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, no doubt.